Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Flynn, and I'm here with Yori Narpati, illustration and concept artist. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey, chat. Hey, Festus, Johanna, Eric Sue is in the chat. Great to see you. I hope you guys caught Andrew Hockradell's Hotch's Gym illustration challenge. Illustrator challenge. Super cool. We're loving that series going on. So I hope you could stick around with us. Hope you caught TK North. We were live before with Tim Northey, which was an awesome way to start the day. And here we are with Yori. And so you're in Jakarta, is that right?
Yeah, I'm in Jakarta.
That's awesome. It's so good to have you with us. First time on Adobe Live. So yeah,
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for spending some time with us. We've got you today, and we've also got you next week, which is really cool. And I know there's a lot to cover. I know you've got a lot to show us. So I'm going to stop talking for the first time ever, and maybe ask you to introduce yourself, and maybe we can have a look at some of your work before we get started today. And I'll play some music as well. There we go.
Okay, cool. Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Guess I should introduce myself first. My name is Yori Narpati, and I am a freelance concept artist and illustrator from Indonesia. I graduated from UTS just last studying animation. I got my bachelor's degree and my honors degree in 2018, and I started working as a junior designer last year in a studio in Sydney. Up to the end of the year at Cheeky Little, they do animation and animated shows for ABC and Netflix. But sadly, I had to stop because I had some health problems. I had issues with my left eye, so I had to stop. And then I was just doing like personal projects all throughout this year. And I'm working for another studio in Sydney who's also doing a TV show, but I can't really talk about it that much. So yeah, I can show you some of my work. So should we go ahead and do that?
Jump over to your desktop now. Yep.
Let me just full screen that. So yeah, I mainly do concept art and illustration work. But back at uni, I did do a lot of animation, but I haven't done that in a while now. So yeah, so this is the kind of work that I usually do in uni, at least. This was my honors film, which got nominated for an ACT award last year, which is great. But sadly, we didn't win. I did concept art and background paintings for the film with my partner Erica Ju, and she did most of the animation. I did help a little bit, but I mostly did the backgrounds and concept art. And this is this is mainly what I do now, is just concept art and illustration. So here's mainly just like some of my personal work. I like to just do some illustrations for Instagram. It's just something fun that I like to do, in my spare time. And I mostly just use Adobe Photoshop when I work. And the tablet that I'm using right now is a Cintiq 22 HD. I used to use 13 HD before, but yeah, well.
Wow.
It's a lot nicer with a bigger screen. So yeah, this is the kind I usually do. I'm just gonna go through them really quickly.
Incredible.
Yeah, I usually go for like a very simple geometric kind of style. I like to use lighting and just colors to try to convey like the mood and emotion of the piece. But I don't usually go into too much details when I'm doing my illustrations. And here are just some photo studies that I did to just, I don't know, they're just fun to do, I guess.
Wow.
Here are some of the more recent ones anyways. So yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. Do you often use like a photo reference and then you're illustrating it in your style? Is that what we're seeing here? Yeah.
Definitely. Like if I'm doing photo studies, I usually go to either like my own camera roll, like just photos on my phone, or I go to Pinterest and I just kind of reference pictures from there. It's mainly just for my personal studies. So they're not for commercial work or anything. Like otherwise you wouldn't do that just like copying off someone else's photographs. But if I'm just doing it for myself, it's just mainly for study, just lighting studies and color studies. But when I'm doing illustrations, they just from imagination, like I would look up references, but then I would kind of just kind of make something up on my own. I don't know. I guess we can go to my Instagram. I mostly have like fan art. This is kind of embarrassing, but I mostly have fan art on my Instagram, so I don't know if you guys want to see that. But
yeah, I definitely do. I was mentioning that I'm almost completely done with the Last Airbender series, watching it for the first time, and I've seen like all of these characters that you've thrown up. So yeah, it's very timely for me. It's so cool.
Yeah, okay, well, that's great. Because I guess like the funny thing is like when I was at uni, they really discouraged like the students from doing fan art. It's really funny because I feel like doing fan art actually lands you jobs. Like that's kind of weird to say, but that actually happened back when I was in high school. Like I used to love like I don't know if you know that like book series by Rick Riordan. And I drew a lot of fan art and I posted it to Tumblr, and the art director for Disney Hyperion Publishings in New York actually got in contact with me, and I ended up doing illustrations for their book, which is pretty cool. So like if anyone's still at uni right now and like your tutor's telling you like not to do fan art, like you just do fan art, man. Like honestly, like it really helps develop your skills as well. So this was the one that I was talking about. Like I was doing a series of illustrations for Rick Riordan's new book at that time. Still at uni while I was doing this job. So this is the kind of work that I used to do, which is like more like painted stuff. I don't do this much, like this kind of stuff as much anymore. But this is the kind of work that I used to do back then, a couple of years ago.
That's amazing. Is that also Photoshop, like that kind of more realistic style thing? Yeah. And someone was
definitely just Photoshop. But
someone in chat was just asking, could you repeat the tablet you're using? I think it was a Cintiq 2022.
Cintiq 22 HD.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's an older version of it. Yeah.
Amazing. So much work for someone so young. That's incredible. Yeah, your work is amazing. I love that as well. So don't listen to your teachers. Listen to Yori and make sure that you do concept art. You heard it here first. That's super cool. So I just thought, just as before we jump in, because it's time to jump into some of your work, you're going to show your process, which is awesome. There is a little Q&A above us today. So there's a little timer going. In 40 minutes, we're going to have a Q&A break. But don't let that stop you asking questions as we're going. We'll either collect sort of the more deep and meaningful meaning of life questions, but if there's any questions that relate to what Yori is showing us, we might ask them as we go. But yeah, throw them in chat. And the chat that we're using is on Behance. So if you're watching over on YouTube, jump over to Behance. If you want to join the chat, say hello. be.net/live is the chat that we're using today. And just very quickly, Ryan Dewitt says, hey Yuri. Joshua 10 says, hey Yuri, your avatar fan art pieces are so good.
Oh my God. Hey Josh.
Which is awesome. So great to have you guys in chat, and feel free to ask questions as we go along.
Cool. I guess I'll be showing how I do, something like more along these lines, like these kinds of illustrations, not like those really painted ones, because this is the stuff that I do most on recently. So I'm just going to show you like my process, what I do when I block my colors, my blocking out colors, and just doing color adjustments, textures, and things like that.
Awesome.
So should we get started?
Let's do it.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna try my best. I don't do this very often. Just draw and talk at the same time. But I'm gonna try my best.
Right.
Okay. Gosh.
Will be nice. It's the best. Okay, it's the best chat in the world on Behance. Everyone's very supportive.
All right.
So yeah, it's all good.
Just be very patient with me because I'm trying my best here.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I guess when I start out any illustration, like personal ones, I tend to just go to Pinterest because that's probably the best way to just get inspiration and just get a lot of really good pictures. Like, because once you click on one picture, it just shows you different, like similar ones, and you can like as a reference point. So I've done like a really kind of like messy mood board here of like the feeling that I want to get in the illustration that I'm doing today. Hold on, sorry. And I kind of usually I just put it up on my second screen and just kind of leave it there for me to look at and just to get inspiration from. And I'll just start doing like thumbnails based on, I don't know, whatever idea that I have for that illustration. Sorry, just... Okay. Now, a lot of people ask me like what brushes I use. I have like, I don't know, a gajillion brushes on my Photoshop, but I only use like 2 or 3 brushes for motion. So it's just like the Kyle Webster brushes, and I only use like the pencil brush. Yeah, that's the best like brush pack ever, and that's the one that I use. So the pencil Kyle brushes, and for shading I only use like the round like brush from Photoshop. That's pretty much it. All right, let me just get started. My thumbnails are usually really messy, so sorry about that. If you can't make sense of what I'm drawing, like I apologize, but hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it makes sense, like just a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned that you're doing thumbnails at this stage, so these are just for you, right? This is a quick way to get the composition together. Is that the main thing that you're trying to do? Just get the ideas definitely out of your head? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Akash is saying illustration in Photoshop. Wow. Oh, strap in. Yeah, there's a lot of illustration that can be done in Photoshop. A lot. Audrey was asking, what platforms do you find is the best to showcase your work and get seen? You mentioned Tumblr, so she said, is Tumblr still relevant?
I don't think so. I used to be a lot more active on art and Tumblr, like I don't know, like 10 years ago when I was like 15, and that's mainly where I shared my work. But it's changed a lot, and nowadays it's probably Instagram. I only recently signed up. Well, not signed up. I only recently started posting on Twitter. It's like literally like 2 days ago. I've had the account for like 10 years, but I never did because I was just active on DeviantArt and Tumblr. But I think it definitely helps to post your work on like several different platforms. Just because like not everybody has a Twitter or not everybody has an Instagram. Like, so I know that I see a lot of, I don't know, usually Japanese artists on Twitter, and I can't find their like Instagram because they don't have one. So I get sad because I can't follow their work. So now I have my Twitter, and I can just follow them on Twitter, and that's just nice. More people, more exposure for you. So that definitely helps. So yeah, I usually just start really rough. Like, I don't know, this is just. I usually do like a couple passes for my sketches, just because that's just how I make sense of things, especially if I have props or characters. Like I do them on different layers just so that I can adjust them easily.
Right.
And I like to do them really, really small. Otherwise, I'll just get stuck into the details and I just don't move on.
Well, that's a really interesting thing. So like with your thumbnail, you're trying to intentionally keep it small so that you're forcing yourself not to go into too much detail.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
So is this some perspective coming in? Is that what's happening now?
Yeah. Well, at least I'm trying to. I'm not very good at perspective. I'm trying my best, but it definitely helps to have these when you're doing perspective drawings. And I think a mistake that I I used to do is that I try to put down the guidelines first and then I do the sketch. But I think it's more helpful if you have like what you want the image to be first, and then you put down the perspective guidelines afterwards. So you don't have to worry about having it be in the right perspective first, but you do it after. Like, I feel like that's, I don't know, at least it works a lot better for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Urika in chat saying, "Hi, hey Yuri, it's so good to see you live. You are doing great." Yes, you are.
Oh, thank you.
That's so cool. And chat with all the avatar chat that we were having before. Who's your favorite character? Let's find out. I want to know.
Oh, it's gonna be Zuko.
It's gonna be Zuko for everybody.
Yeah. So. Everyone's favorite character. I don't know. Apart from like Sokka or Iroh, maybe.
I feel like I relate to Sokka the most.
He's got, yeah, like Zuko's got the best redemption arc, but like, I don't know. Iroh's like really chill and he's just a really cool character.
Yeah.
So he's probably like my second favorite.
Have you always used the perspective tool in Photoshop, or is it something that you're trying to do recently?
This is only just recently. I don't do a lot of perspective drawings, but I'm trying to do more of it. The thing that I do is that I do Maya, or this is sounds silly. It's like a trick that I do is that I go to Sims. And they're like, you can build houses and rooms. I do that in Sims, and I take a screenshot of like the perspective that I want. This is really, but this is kind of, but it really helps if you like perspective. It's just like go to like I don't know, even like Google SketchUp or something like that, and you just like, I don't know, just take screenshots from there and just trace the perspective. It definitely helps you learn a lot quicker, I think. I guess something simpler like this one, only like a 2-point. Like I don't really have a problem like kind of just doing it like this way, I guess.
Yeah. I'm in trouble for asking impossible questions. Clearly the avatar. Toph is the best earthbender of all time. Joshua's in Team Toph too. There you go. Where are my sucker peeps at? Camilla's asking, how did she do the 2 perspective suns? So yeah, how did you do the 2 perspectives?
Oh, I can just show you really quickly. You just go to this right here, the polygon, and just go to the path options and make sure that you have these settings. Just tick star and then indent sides by 99% and then sides 100. And then you can just like do that and it'll just do it for you. Also move the center point by just selecting with this like white arrow. Just select it. You can just, oops, sorry. Ooh, nope, that didn't work. Hold on. Oops. Oops, sorry. And you can just like shift it around like that. Sorry, that took me off. But yeah, it's really helpful.
Yeah.
So you can do like 2 perspective or like 3 perspective really easily.
Yeah, it's a cool technique.
Yeah, the face is usually the most painful. I apologize. I much prefer doing colors because I can just like zone out and just not think about it and just like paint because it's fun. But with sketching, I feel like it just takes a lot more out of me. I'm sorry if I don't talk very much because I'm just trying to figure this out as I go.
No problem. There's no need to apologize. We just want to watch your process as you're going through.
Okay.
And I'll ask dumb questions anyway. That's what I do.
Oops.
What about chat? Have you guys ever done any work like using a perspective tool like Yori is at the moment, or try to do it by eye? Like I know Camilla, like me, saying, "Oh yeah, I love that approach." Yeah, I really love the approach of the two different uses of the perspective tool there. That's very effective. And I noticed that you're still keeping it quite small.
Small.
You're focusing on the composition.
Yeah, I don't want to just get into like the details too early, because then I feel like it just messes up the composition. And then I do like drawing details a lot more, so that's why I try to stop by not zooming in, because otherwise I would just go straight into details.
Adrienne in chat saying, I can relate with needing full brain power for the concept stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Camilla's saying, I have always suffered with perspective, and I'm glad to have seen this different idea. The geometry involved always confused me. Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
A new perspective with this process. Yes, exactly.
Hey.
Nice one. So just quickly turning off that layer to see what it's looking like without the perspective like guides.
Yeah.
And in this case, are you using reference? You said that you'll often have like something from Pinterest or some artwork collected, and it's on a different
I have something
screen.
to my left. So, the one that I showed you earlier, the mood board. I'm just referencing it.
Cool.
So this is where I usually stop, and I was looking out colors at this. And sorry, let me just. Oops. Why is it selecting? With colors, I usually like a very general idea of like what I want to achieve for the final piece, but it usually doesn't stay that way. So it usually ends up looking very different.
Right.
But okay. Especially if it's just like a personal that I'm just doing for fun. If it's something for a client, then I definitely have to stick with like the color palette that they've established. But if it's just for me, then I don't care like if it changes by the end. It's more fun that way anyways. Like I like playing with colors and just experimenting.
And where do you get your colors at this point? Are you just experimenting with the color picker, or you're referencing, or are you referencing the colors from, the references that you have there as well, or are they more about, composition and perspective and things like that?
I guess it just depends on what I feel like, honestly. Like sometimes I would reference the color directly from a piece. Like if I'm feeling really stuck, like I would just do that. But other times I would just make something up on my own and just see what I like.
Camilla's asking.
In this case,
sorry, go on.
Oh, like I'm just like trying things. I'm not preferencing any color palette in like any of the pictures because they mostly have like the pictures that I reference. They mostly have very like neutral, like a lot of whites. So I'm not really doing that because I'm doing like a night scene. This one, so I'm just trying to come up with something on my own. Saying something?
Cool. Yeah. Camilla was asking, is this theme art piece also from Avatar? I don't think so. I think I just got excited because I saw the Avatar and fan art in Yuri's feed. So.
Yeah.
Would you usually listen to music or have something on in the background? I see that you're in a studio space at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you listen to music or listen to music in the studio?
To music on. Exactly like this one, just like chill step, like lo-fi chill step music. Yeah. Something that's just I don't know, just like in the background so it distract me. Definitely listen to my work. Like otherwise, I don't know. I concentrate. So thank you for putting on music this live stream because it really helps.
It's always good to have a little bit of music in the background, as long as it doesn't like take over, which can happen sometimes. And when there was a question I might ask now, Jeremy asked, have you encountered working with clients that requested so much of you, but they didn't provide clarity or direction?
I guess I've been lucky enough to not have experienced that. They usually have a very clear direction of what they want me to do and like what's needed for the piece. So I guess not.
Yeah, I'm really loving it. It's like a night scene with the lights kind of glowing out from the inside.
Yeah. I guess another thing that I like to do is I like to turn on dynamics when I'm doing like color roughs because like it just really helps to add in like different colors without having to like actually picking out every single one.
And if you're just joining us, yeah, don't hesitate to throw in your questions in chat. Let us know how you're going as well, particularly while we're at the concept stage. If you have questions about Yuri's work, which I'm sure Johanna's shared in chat already before, let us know. We do have a Q&A break in about 20 minutes or so. So okay. We'll ask a lot of those then. But of course, we can ask questions as we're going. But yeah, Yuri, make sure you tell me to shut up if I'm interrupting you or anything like that.
No, it's totally fine.
Okay. There was a question from Camilla. What are the main art inspirations for you?
I collect a lot of like animation art books from just like Disney, Pixar, things like that. Like they have a lot of really good concepts, and just Instagram really. Like I have a lot of people that I really admire on Instagram. Some of my friends, like some people that I just found on Instagram, and I think mostly Instagram nowadays actually. I guess I can.
Here's another question. What kinds of subject matter do you usually draw? Any go-to scenes or types of characters?
I like doing. I guess I don't really have like any particular theme that I tend to do very often. Like, I just like to do a lot of really like dynamic lighting. That's something that I really enjoy doing. But I draw like, I don't know, I guess a bunch of different things. Like sometimes things like I'll do nature drawings. I just enjoy doing lighting and just experimenting with colors. I guess that's like the main thing that's been a consistent for me. Like, I don't know if I actually have like a particular style, because I know that some artists, they have like one thing that they do really, really well and they just kind of stick with it. I'm trying to do that. Like, I'm trying to find my own voice, like my own style. Like, I do think that sometimes it's a bit overrated. Like, having like, this is my style. Like, it's kind of able to be really flexible, I guess. Especially if you're working in a studio and they require you to draw in their style. Like, having a very distinct style can be a hindrance sometimes. But if you're trying to get your work out there and get, if you want to get known for your particular style, then definitely go for it. But yeah, that's something that I'm trying to figure out, is that, like, what is like my style actually? Like, I don't like doing colors and just lighting and just doing paintings. Like, my style changed a lot in the past like 10 years, because I used to do a lot of like drawings, like very like digital paint, like it's very like rendered. But nowadays I don't do that very often because I just don't enjoy it anymore.
Right.
So I don't like just just pinpointing like, oh, this is my style. Like I don't. Yeah. I feel like it's better to just go if you feel like you enjoy at whatever point in your life.
Yeah, totally. And do you find people will still come to you for a particular style in terms of concept art? Like, they've seen something and they want, yeah, great, we want that for our project, or is there a bit more freedom?
Yeah, definitely. I've been hired for that. Like if someone sees a piece that they like on my Instagram or like Tumblr or whatever, and then they'll go like, oh, I like this painting that you did. Like, can you do something like that for the work that we want you to? I've definitely had that before, but it is very, very different when you work in a studio and you work on like different shows. They want you to be flexible. Like we want you to styles like you need to draw in this style. So it's kind of nice to, like, I don't know, just change it up every once in a while and just get used to, like, be able with changing style.
Yeah. Brenda's saying it's off to a great start. Love the colors and the lighting. Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're just changing the color balance now in one of them? Like, are you playing around with? Yeah. What are you up to?
Yeah, I usually do that when I'm like at this stage. Like, I would go to hue saturation or color balance and kind of just have a play around with it and see if I come out with something like better than we usually did. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I do it anyways. Because sometimes you do find something that you like better than what you initially thought for your piece. They're all just like really slightly different, but I guess it just helps me kind of like make a decision. Like, even if I choose one of these, it's gonna end up different by the end.
Right.
It's just my process, but I've just learned to like deal with it. I guess it's like, oh, that's fine. Sometimes it comes out better, sometimes it doesn't. You just.
So Camilla was saying also, you mentioned having a mood board on Pinterest. How do you compose and organize your Pinterest albums?
I usually have just like one general album that I just like pin everything to, just for my own stuff. But if I have work for a client, I have like a more I don't know, like serious project, I guess I would make like a separate album for it. Because it's just easier to share it, you know, especially if you're collaborating with people. You don't want like pictures of cute dogs or something like in the same album.
Wayne asked in chat, will Yori be relocating back to Australia in the future?
I don't really have any plans for that at the moment, so probably not. I have like I've got a studio space here in Jakarta, and my family's here in Jakarta, so I'm comfortable with just working. If it's a good opportunity and you know pick up for work, then I'll do it. So yeah, at the moment, that's what I'm doing. Like I'm just kind of going with the flow and see what works, I guess. Like especially nowadays, like you don't really have like have to be like present in the space. Like you can just work remotely, and that would still work out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, all studios can do that, but like for the ones that do, like definitely take advantage of that. And yeah.
Very cool. And just letting you know, and also chat know, that we've got about 10 minutes till our Q&A break.
Okay, cool.
Brenda's saying, I love how you use your intuition to pick the colors. Sometimes it's good to trust your instinct as an artist. It's very true.
Yeah, that's definitely what I do when I'm picking out colors. Like sometimes it ends up looking muddy, but like sometimes it does work out when you just kind of like try different things. And this one, because I was just using colors to change. Like the fourth one, I felt like it just wasn't working out very well. So I just I'm just trying to do like a different color palette.
So how many of these would you do in a project? I mean, I guess we're going to find out, but you know,
Yeah.
obviously more than 4,
Oh,
I guess,
probably.
because we're seeing 4. But yeah, how many would you normally do?
Oh, that's pretty. It's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I was actually going to stop at 4.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually, it just depends really. Like if I'm not happy with any of these, like I could do like upwards of 10. It just depends on where I feel like this is okay enough to proceed. But I guess with this one, because I'm just gonna stop with 4, and I'm just gonna proceed with the drawing. For Q&A yet?
Oh, sorry, what was that? I lost you just for a sec there.
Oh, I was just asking if it's time for Q&A just yet.
Yeah,
Do
I
I
mean,
still have time?
we can jump into it any time. I think the timer has like 8 minutes left or something, but we can, as I said
Okay.
before, we could just jump into Q&A whenever feels right, whenever you feels like a natural break time. We do have lots of questions, which is great. That's awesome,
Okay.
chat. Always like having lots of
Yay.
questions in. Yeah, and quite a lot of people saying, yeah, like loving your work and learning a lot, which is awesome. Learning a lot already.
Yay.
That's a good start.
That's good.
The third color test reminds me of Impressionist French paintings, Camilla said. Yeah, it does quite a lot.
That's cool.
with the bleeding edges. Yeah, it looks like a watercolor with the bleeding edges and everything. That's so true.
Yeah, with this stage, just going to back and forth. Just because, especially with this one, since I'm not really referencing like anything in terms of the colors, I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's definitely gonna take me like longer to actually come up with something that looks nice.
Here's a question for now before our Q&A. Wayne was asking, what dimensions do you work with in like resolution and size?
I guess with this image, I can just show you. It's that.
That's an easy way to show. Yeah, here you go. I'll just show you.
Yeah.
And presumably you're working in RGB.
Yeah. Yeah, for that. If I need that. Nowadays, I don't really do any work that's printed.
And hey, chat, we were talking about books before. So Yuri has a lot of like books on animation. What about you guys? Do you have like any favorite go-to books? I think someone was mentioning they had like a Studio Ghibli book previously, and some people were saying they have like some of the Disney books. Super interesting, or Pixar, was it? I think it was maybe Pixar. I think it's been buried now, but yeah, super curious, chat. Like, do you have like any favorite or go-to books of animators, animation?
Yeah, the first one that I got was a book for Tango. My sister bought it for my birthday, like being me like just collecting art books. Now I've got like a whole like bookshelf full of it. But they're definitely really good for inspiration if you're feeling stuck, because they have a lot of really like good color palettes, just like good composition. So they're really helpful to have. Another one that I favorite is Box Trolls. It's a Leica movie.
Oh,
I don't think it's very popular, but it's very good. They have very good concepts in there. Just really like their style.
I haven't seen it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like the most popular Leica movie is probably mine. I feel like a lot of people have seen that one, but like the more recent movies aren't very popular, but they're very good.
Pixar and Spirited Away books. Wow, two pretty solid ones there. Interested in getting the Parasite storyboard book as well. Haven't heard of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that based on the movie Parasite?
Probably actually watched that movie.
Camilla has Linear in Monet's Garden, which is a children's book. Cool. A Color's watercolor book, and a small art book on Klimt and Sean Tan's sketchbook book. Oh, Sean Tan.
Oh,
awesome.
Sean Tan is the best.
He's amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Super cool. Some of these I haven't even heard of. This is awesome. So getting pretty close to Q&A, I think.
Okay.
What do you think about taking a Q&A break?
Yeah, we can do that. I think I'm pretty much done with these anyways, and then we can just like continue with the thing.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
All right, so there's a whole bunch of questions coming up. It's gonna almost press very much the wrong button just then. Small heart attack. It's all good. Brenda was asking, do you have any tips on improving your speed in painting because I find it challenging to be productive when you spend too much time in one drawing, and I tend to do that.
Okay. I guess it's what I actually talked about earlier as well. We have a very different style, like the ones that I showed you earlier with things for the Arden books. They're very like painterly, and like they take a lot of time to render because you really have to like blend each color book one by one, and that just takes like of like 15 hours, 20 hours just to do one drawing. It's like a big piece, then it would take me forever to finish. Yeah, I wasn't very productive, but like nowadays I've kind of changed style, and I usually just really focus just like the mood of the piece and much like the rendering. I'm gonna show you like a couple tricks that I do to make the piece look more like finished, I guess, because I usually just use like literally the only brush I use is just like the round like standard brush from Photoshop with zero hardness, and that's pretty much what I use to shade, and it's really fast to get like really smooth in your paint, and then if you want to get like that texture on top, you can just add it afterwards, and that definitely speeds up like my painting process by a lot. If I don't know, like I can't really say much if you're going for like that painterly style, because that kind of style usually takes a long time to finish. In terms of own art like process, like I've changed stuff that's really helped me to become more productive by just really focusing on like the composition and like the colors and the lighting, instead of doing like, you know, like actual renderings of every single little thing in like the picture. So yeah, that's also using like creating your own brushes. Like if you're drawing like a, I don't know, like a repeating pattern, like if it's raining, if you want to draw like a, you know, like a raining scene or like foliage, especially, like you can just definitely just brush, and then it will speed up your painting process by a lot.
Right. Oh, cool. Awesome. Good advice. Audrey asked a question before. Is it easy finding jobs as a concept artist?
Oh, I don't think so. I haven't had very like experience, because I mean I've only graduated like last year, and I've worked in 2 different studios, both in Sydney, and they both do like TV shows. And like in the first studio, I was a junior designer. And I got in because I was recommended by one of my tutors. I think like she was good friends with one of like the art directors, and then I got recommended. And with this one, I think they just found my work on Instagram, and then they kind of just contacted me, and I've worked with them twice now. The first one is for like an advertisement for TV, and then the second one, this one is for a TV show that they're developing. It's still in very early stages. I think they've just begun production, and I'm doing like background paintings for the show. But yeah, that's like, those are the only 2 experiences that I've had doing like, I don't know, like concept art paintings kind of a job in animation. Like the other job I had, one was like the one that I got off Tumblr when I was doing like fan art for Percy Jackson, and then, you know, like the art directors saw my work on Tumblr and they contacted me. And then the other one was for Ample Projects. They do projections for Vivid in Sydney, and I got to help out with some of like the background paintings for the projection that they did in 2018. I think it was like for the Customs House in Sydney, and that was a really cool experience. But it wasn't like, it's not really for like animation or TV. So I'm still trying to work out on like how to actually get. It's, I don't know. I feel like just post a lot of your work online, and not be shy about it, because that's a problem that I feel like I've been struggling with for a long. I feel really insecure with my work, and like I don't feel confident enough to post it. But it's really important to do it, because that's the only way people are going to find your work.
Awesome. Oh, that's good advice. So another one, maybe last question, just because I am conscious of time. Johanna was asking, how have you found working remotely? Is that something you were already doing? Working remotely, I guess you were talking about with agencies like that are in Sydney and clients that are in Sydney.
Yeah, most of like 99% of my work has been working remotely. Even before like this whole COVID thing, like I've just been working at home. With like the Disney Hyperion one, I was working from home because they're in New York, and they only needed me to do like illustrations. So like I don't really need to be in the studio. I've only worked like for a month, I guess, like in studio when I like last year when I was in Sydney, and then I had to leave and had to go home. But I continued working with that studio for like a couple more months, but from home. And now with like COVID, I feel like most work would be like work from home anyway. So yeah, I mean, I don't find it bothersome. Like it's definitely nice if you have like other people with you, because like when I was working on my honors film, we had a studio space that was dedicated just for us. So we were able to collaborate, and we were like, you know, like we were talking with our peers, and that just really helps in terms of like the creative juices. Like it just really helps you. But I personally don't have a problem with working remotely on my own, just because I do enjoy my time alone as well. So like I don't really find that as an issue.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Definitely something I think we all need to get used to in the current climate anyway. So yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for answering those questions. We should jump into the second part, just because, yeah, again, conscious of time, but yeah, keep the questions coming, and if we can answer them as we're going along, we shall. So should we jump back to your screen?
Yes.
All right, doing that now. There we go.
Okay. So I guess because I'm kind of worried about the time as well, I've already prepared like a finished sketch, if that's okay, guys, for like that same image.
It's a very clever move, because time moves very differently when you're live streaming, and getting asked questions and talking about what you're doing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's a very good, very smart move.
Yeah. So I'm just going to show you how I block out my colors, because I feel sketching face is pretty much just the same thing, but I've just redone it in this one. So it'll look more neat, and I've added like a bunch more like details. But yeah, I'm just going to start pages. Oops. Yeah, so I've just kept it pretty much the same. I've still got my perspective guidelines on here, but I've just redone that. It'll look clean, and I've got like different like assets separated out. Like I've got like the background like on one layer, and then I've got like the props, and then I've got the characters. So I'm just gonna leave it right here, and I'm gonna start with the color blocking. I'm gonna keep this up here for reference. I feel like I'm probably still going to go with. I'm probably gonna go with the third one. So that's probably the one that I'm going to reference.
Mm-hmm. What makes you pick the third one?
Honestly, I just.
It's a very subjective.
I just like it. yeah.
Cool.
I can't really say like, oh, I like this one. Like, I'm just gonna go with this one. So
nice.
All right. I'll keep it there. Oops.
And this much more kind of detailed, I guess, and much bigger line artwork you've just done with like a blue color with just a round tip pen using your Wacom.
Yeah.
Same sort of process, but you've just done it in more detail with the perspective tool that you showed us before. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely. I just do like the shift click so that. Oh, sorry. Let me just show you with the proper brush. Yeah, so when I'm doing lines, especially when I'm doing like buildings or anything geometric, like I would just do like shift click, because then it'll just automatically create like a straight line for you.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing that, I feel like a lot of people know that, but it's just still good to mention.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so that's, with like color blocking, I usually just go with the polygonal lasso tool, because it's just easier and it's a lot faster for me to do. So I'm just gonna start. I also like to have my sketch layer on top of the colors, and then I set it to multiply, just so that I can see what I'm doing. And I keep all the flat colors below the sketch layer. Oops.
This is like quite a relaxing part in the process.
Yeah, definitely. Because all the like thinking is like done, like it's over and done with the roughs and like the color palette. Sorry, just give me a second.
Yeah, so just letting everybody know in terms of time. So Yuri and also chat. So we've got about half an hour left.
Okay, for thing or
For the whole thing, for the whole thing today.
okay, for holding. Sorry. Okay, so I've got to do this really quickly.
And remember, we're back next week as well. So you can show us like half of it as well. You don't have to necessarily show us the whole part of a section as well, because I know it can.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing doing it live.
Yeah, definitely.
There is a question from Mal. Yori, what books would you recommend to study color?
I've been talking a lot about color, but I actually don't have any books that I go to. Like I literally just, I don't know, just look at a lot of images like on Instagram and like those art books that I collect. Like I just look at those and just find palettes that I like.
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of difficult. Like I think I just kind of I try to try instincts when I'm doing colors because it really is the thing that I enjoy doing the most. But I don't really have any like go-to book that like keep coming to for in terms of colors. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a question how to draw the line straight even on the perspective. So it's interesting if that is a question, that you bring that up, because that's what Yori was saying. Yeah, I guess most people know this, but yeah, basically you just was it just holding down shift as you were drawing your lines to keep it straight?
Yeah, just to keep it straight. Oops.
Johanna asked a question before that's probably a good time to ask now. When doing, well, I guess when working with color, do you have go-to lighting setups? Like, are you considering what direction the light's coming from or anything like that? Or
Oh
is it
yeah,
something a little bit later?
definitely. That's probably like the first thing that I think about is like where I want the to be coming from. Like in this case, that's why I'm doing like the windows first, because I know that the light will be coming from there. Just so that I can kind of think about it as I like do the rest of the drawing, to be aware of, okay, well, this is the light source, and then I don't have to worry about it so much anymore. I don't know, do you want me to move on with like space, or are you happy for me to just keep going with like color blocks? Because it's pretty much just this. Like I'm just going to be my lasso tool and just like kind of like filling in colors.
Oh, it's up to you. If you wanted to move on to the next step, that's totally fine. Yeah.
So I guess I don't really have much to show for this space. Like I just have to like be really patient and just like do every single one. But there isn't like I don't know, like a trick to it, I guess. So are you happy for me to like keep going then?
Yeah, keep going for a little bit, and then maybe we'll show one more section today, I think, because you have quite a few to show. It's up to you. I mean, it's up to you entirely, but yeah. What do you think, chat? Actually, how about that? How about if there's more questions about this? So let us know if there's any questions in the next kind of 5 minutes about this section. If there's not, then maybe we'll move on to the next one. That'll tip us off that everyone's learning. before Johanna bans that song, I'm going to change it straight away.
Yeah, this is like a really chill section. Like literally just like coloring in according to what I've sketched previously. And I mean, it's really relaxing, but there's not much to say about it. Yeah, this is just like the process that I enjoy the most, is just using this, because I used to draw line art, and it's a whole different process. Like I feel like it takes a lot longer when I'm doing line art, because I just do it as much. And I think you have to be mindful, like the lines definitely slows you down compared to if you just like doing like flat, like lineless colors.
Right. Yeah, so the question was, I would like to ask, if I'm drawing the sloped line, how can it be straight? If I just hold the shift, it'll only do vertical or horizontal.
Oh, right. Let me just, I guess, really quickly. Yeah, like if you shift and then you like do a line, it'll only allow you to draw like, yeah, vertical or horizontal. But if you want to do like, you know, like that, just press shift, click, and then click in a different spot, and it'll just automatically do a line in whatever direction you want. And yeah, that's how you do it.
There you go.
Just keep holding down shift and like just click. I mean, like just click and then press shift. And then if you hold it down, it'll just create lines like that.
Cool. Give that a go, Apple. Let us know how you go. Have you ever, I can't remember if I asked the question, but do you work in RGB?
Yeah.
You are, yeah. And so have you ever had a client want some work and wanted it printed? And so you've had to deal with like converting it or trying to find a printer who can print in RGB or anything like that? Or is predominantly your work being digital?
Well, like, I guess like for client work, it's mostly just been RGB. Like they haven't really asked me to convert it into like CMYK, but I used to do graphic design in college, and that was like a lot of work, and I definitely had to like change it to CMYK, and then the colors would just shift all over the place, and then I would have to like readjust it, and yeah, I mean it's a nightmare, but it's fine. Do you have any other questions about like color blocking, or are you happy for me to like maybe go ahead?
There's no more questions for this section, so yeah. So maybe we move on now to the next part. We've got 20 minutes left as well, so that's probably a good time.
All right.
Although I kind of want to just sit here and watch you do that all day.
It's satisfying. I enjoy, especially it's like with going like I can do this for a while, and yeah. So yeah, I guess I could just show you guys like, ta-da! It's finished.
Where's that button? I need that button in my Photoshop. Just that amazing artwork just arrives. That would be really cool.
Yeah. So that's the flats. That's the flat colors. I haven't drawn characters just yet. But I'll probably do that. So I guess with like shading, I'll just keep that color guide up there. And you can see it still looks mostly flat in this one. Like you can see where the light source is coming from, and I've kind of like blocked out, like, you know, section, like this section to be in shadow, to be darker. But yeah, like the only thing that I use is literally just like this soft brown brush, and that's it. Like that's what I use to shade everything, and then I just cheat and like put noise on top, and it'll look nice. Yeah, so I can just like start. Oops.
So many layers. Yes.
Yeah,
there are a lot of layers.
Yeah. Because I like to keep everything separate. Again, like I used to not do it this way. I used to have like I used to paint one layer because I have like a more of like a painterly style. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I enjoy this a lot more lately. So I've just been doing this. I figured it out. Like that's why it takes a while to do all the flats, because I have them all in separate layers. Because it just easier for me to shade. When I have it, like when I have the transparency locks, like it just makes it so much easier for me to just quickly do like a brush stroke, and it's like shaded already. Like it's just really convenient.
Yeah, once you get to this part, you can just jump onto that layer, add the texture really quickly, move on to the next one. So once you've built it all up, it's a great way to work. And so you're adding in texture now. That's what's happening?
Oh no, I'm just doing like shading.
Shading, okay. And do you have a process of like going left to right, or are you just going through and just seeing, well, what's this layer? Does it need shading and adding in?
Yeah, I'm just when like just seeing, I don't know, just like how the light would affect surfaces, and kind of just like feel it out from there. Yeah, this is why color changes, because like as I'm just like, oh, maybe this looks better if saturated or like different colors. So I would just kind of like feel it as I paint, like as I go and just change stuff.
Brenda's asking, how do you manage the layers so you use them efficiently?
Okay, so I usually just I do clipping mask. When I'm lazy, I just do clipping mask. So like if I have this, if I have this one, like this big piece right here, like just the whole wall, and I clip it, like I clip everything that's related to it, to that layer, then I know that it's like for that scene. Like I would group it if I have more time, but like oftentimes I would just do it this way, because like if I have this like window layer, and I know that everything's that related to it is like clipped to this layer. It also helps if you're trying to be more efficient. Like for example, if I have this awning section here, and I just create a new layer and just clip it to it, clip like the layer above it to it, I can just do like a very broad, like I don't have to worry about painting the shapes, and I can just like color it, stay in there, and it just like makes it a lot easier for me to see as well in the layers tab. But yeah, that's what I mainly do to make sense of the layers. I always name them. It's always good to name them. Don't listen to me. Oops.
I think as you're doing this, there was something I just wanted to give a bit of a shout out. I don't think we're going to have time to show any of it, but you did an artist spotlight tutorial with Adobe.
Oh yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows about it, because it's super cool. So we watched it. We had Tim Northey on earlier today, and we showed his for a little bit. We had a little bit of extra time, so we showed his video. But yeah, Johanna's going to share it in chat. It's super cool, so definitely check it out.
Yay! I pretty much all the same tips about today, but I mean, yeah, it's just in there.
It's all there.
Yeah.
We also have Ramez coming on Adobe Live tomorrow as well, and he has also done an artist spotlight.
Cool.
So I think 3 out of the 4 people that did one we've had on Adobe Live all within 2
that's
days,
cool.
which is super cool. So when you're adding the shadow, correct me if I'm wrong. So you're going to the layer and then finding which one it is. So in this case, it's like that box or step. And then you're color picking the original color, like the flat color. And then you're just kind of darkening a little bit, like you're low, like, yeah, I guess you're just darkening it with the color slider. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I'm using the lab slider, I think. Yeah, lab slider.
Oh, lab, using the lab, yeah. Cool. We've got a bit over 10 minutes, guys, so if there are any more questions while we're here today, let us know. And Yori's coming back next week, so same time next week, so make sure you join us for that part 2. But yeah, last kind of chance, I think, for any more questions. Oh, talking in the song, changing it. So Johanna's our mod, and she's also like creative art director / DJ over for the music, and so she'll let me know if there's like really annoying music playing, and sometimes I like to beat her to it. Doesn't happen often.
Yeah, this process just takes a while, and yeah, you just have to be really patient and just kind of go through everything really slowly. Generally, to do something like this, probably takes me like 5 hours, I guess, for the whole thing.
Right. Just this section, just the shading section.
Oh no, I mean like just like the whole
The whole thing. Yeah. And how do you know when you're done with the shading? Like, do you add shading to absolutely everything that there is, or are some things left alone?
Yeah, it's just like I think when I feel happy with it, like when I feel like it looks right, but sometimes it does, like, it's kind of to know, like, stop. Especially when you just like when you put on some music and you just start painting, like you kind of just keep going and going, and yeah, you just have to know when to stop yourself. Like I have a look that I want to achieve in mind, so yeah, I'll definitely know when to stop.
Cool. And I guess the more you do it, the more you get used to it, the more you can
Yeah.
more easily and faster recognize when you're finished and when you're satisfied with something. But I guess for those starting out, it's probably a little bit harder to tell straight away. So Camilla's asking, for someone struggling with perspective and scenery, what would be an exercise that you might recommend to better up those skills? Anything you could recommend?
Right. I guess it's something that I mentioned earlier about using like 3D programs to help you, like, you know, like cheat.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did as well. Is like I would just like look at a lot of, or go to like Google SketchUp or Maya if you have it, or Blender or Sims, like I don't know, whatever works for you, and you just use those tools to help you.
Cool. I really love the using Sims. It's so clever.
Yeah, because like, not a lot of like not everybody knows how to use the 3D program, but like with Sims, like I feel like anybody would be able to pick that up really easily.
Yeah.
Especially if you like a very simple, just like if it's a room or like a perspective, definitely just do that very quickly. Especially since they have like all like the like furniture built in, so that's kind of like a sneaky way to like cheat with perspective.
Nice. There's one that I can answer here. So Apple's asking, sometimes I see the layer has a lock. Why do you need that? Well, essentially, you lock a layer if you just don't want to affect it. So you don't want to paint on it, don't want to draw on it, don't want to delete something on it. So that's why you would use the lock. You can just lock it and unlock it, as you have probably noticed Yori doing as she's going along. Brenda's asked.
Actually,
oh yes, go on.
Oh, I'm locking transparent pixels instead of doing like the lock layer. Yeah, because if I'm locking it, be able to like you couldn't use the tool because it's locked. But if I'm using this one, can you see it? Like this one, like that'll just lock the pixels. So if I use like a huge like this, it's not gonna bleed over to like it's gonna stay within that shape that I'm painting in, and that can be convenient for painting quickly. And get like very smooth like shading. Yeah, sorry, you were saying something.
No, that's great. No, that's excellent. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they meant. But the other question I have was, how many hours do you usually spend on a painting? I guess you may have already answered that, kind of like 5 or 6 hours for like concept art. Yeah. And Mariah is asking, what's your favorite thing to draw? Environments / backgrounds or people?
I used to love drawing like faces a lot more. Like that's just something that I find to be like very relaxing. Like, but recently I've been doing a lot more like environments, and I do enjoy doing that as well. So environments for now, I don't know. I keep like it just keeps changing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going through every single layer.
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry?
I was talking over you.
Oh no, I'm just going through like and seeing like if it needs like if I need to do like some shading on it. Sorry.
No, cool. And I noticed that like on the side of the air conditioner, is that like some light coming in that's splashing onto the side? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, from the window, like here. I guess because that's like the only light source. Like you would have like more light source to the right, but you know, it's probably like just like you wouldn't be able to. It's not like a very strong light coming from the right. So it's probably gonna be more in shadow, which what I'm doing now.
And so there was one more question that I have down here. Do you watch any movies or shows while you work, mixing it up from your music?
Oh, actually, yeah, I watch. I was working, but seriously, I watch movies or TV shows that I've watched previously, so I don't get too distracted by it. But it's more for when I'm just doing work fun. Like if I'm working for like a client, then I wouldn't do that. Like I would just put on some music. But it needs to be something I already watched previously. Otherwise, I would just want to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
And it would be distracting. Yeah. Oops.
Got a little bit less than 5 minutes left. Just letting you know as well.
Okay. Do you want me to show like what it looks like finished, or do we want to pick it up back like next week?
That's up to you. Yeah, it's up to you. Did you want to do a different one next week, or we can pick this back up? It's entirely up to you.
Okay, well, I can probably show you what it looks like finished, because I'll probably want to show like how I do textures and like how I finish up the drawing.
Okay.
Because there isn't really much else shading it. It really is about looking at the lights and just thinking about how it would affect like emphasis. But that's just, yeah, it just takes a lot of time to do it until it looks right. So I can just show you what it looks like, and I'll show what I do to make it look not so like rigid. And so, ta-da! Yeah, well, that's kind of like, yeah. So this is like, so that's like the base like shading for everything. And as you can see, I've put like the characters are there. I'll just take them out for now. But yeah, I do a lot of like lighting effects, I guess. The thing that I like to do is, like, you can see that it's kind of like texture in this one. What I do is, like, to get like very quick textures, I would just grab a brush that looks, I don't know, that's like very like this one, and then I go to color dynamics and like turn that on, and I can just change this to saturation, and maybe just turn that off. And if I just like do like a very quick pass of like just like strokes everywhere, it's just very loose. It's just gonna make it look like I've painted it with a textured brush, but I've only just done like a very quick swipes of very quick swipes like this, and it'll look like I've done like a textured painting while I've only used
that's nice.
the round brush. So I like to do this, kind of just go like different process. I don't know, see what looks good. I think that just really helps in, I don't know, like that's variation, awesome. I guess. So yeah, that's what I like to do. Because I used to paint everything like it's like one by one, just by hand, and it takes me like forever to do. Yeah, so that's kind of like that's what I do.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and we actually are getting towards the end. We're actually running out of time now.
Yeah, so that's like that's a texture layer that I've applied, and then I've got like some like other lighting layers I've used. I'm using this one to just darken it, like the whole thing,
right? Just
in general, and then like just more light and just details. And then once I'm like, so this is like stage one, and then I usually like some more on top of it to make it look more finished. And this is like, it's very subtle, but I've added in like a noise texture
right
in the image, and I feel like that just adds a lot more, like compared to if I don't have it. Like everything just looks very like sharp and clean, and I do prefer that when I'm doing illustrations. So I like to add in just a little texture for, I don't know, like the illustrations that I do. And how you do that is just by, I usually just pick out like a light color, a layer, and go to filter, and then noise, and then add noise, and then you change that to like however like and just change up like this is gonna look ugly first, but I feel like it works for me. You just go through all of these like blending modes and see one that looks kind of like that works for your image. And then go to my eraser and just erase. Oops, that's too much. And just erase parts that I don't like. I don't know. I feel like that just helps make the image look more finished.
That's awesome. We are going to have to leave some for next week because we're going to get cut off very soon. So I want to make sure that we thank you and say everything and say our goodbyes and thank chat as well. That was awesome. But yeah, Yori, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone who asked questions.
Yeah,
I hope that was kind of helpful for some of you.
yeah, definitely. Some great questions, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I'm just going to very, very quickly bring up our schedule. We have one more live stream. This is on tomorrow with Ramesh. So going to be lots of fun with some photo manipulation with him. But Yori, thank you so much again. It's been fantastic hanging out with you, and thank you everybody in chat.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun. Bye-bye.
Bye.